A foggy day in London town.
A well-known London character called Johnson, not that one, famously said that when a man's tired of this city, he's tired of life.
I view the morning with alarm.
But what about when he's tired of all the hype and hoopla surrounding the Olympic Games coming to the city?
Had lost its charm. How long?
Writer China Mieville here isn't getting carried away with Olympic fever in the city he calls home. China, hello, I'm Stephen.
How you doing?
Welcome aboard the Newsnight bus of truth. Shall we take a seat? But broadcaster Robert Elms is such a Londoner, he doesn't have blood in his veins, he has jellied eels. That doesn't even make sense. Hello, Robert.
Hello, sir.
How are you? Very nice to see you. We brought the two of them together to take in the sights, to discuss the Games and the metropolis which will be the centre of the world's attention.
I think London is facing, I'm optimistic, but I think it's facing, economic difficulties verging on catastrophe, which the government is doing the opposite of helping. It's not helping young people who in London rates of unemployment, disaffection, disempowerment are enormous. I'm concerned about the way the Olympics is prioritising a corporate agenda over a local agenda.
I'm a huge fan of sport, so I will love the Olympics and I will love the fact that it's in my town and that the world is looking at my town. I've got big issues about the ticketing, I just think many people have. I've got big issues about corporatisation, but sadly that is the nature of these events anywhere in the world now. You're not going to get an uncorporate Olympics, I'm afraid, because of the very scale of it. But I do believe that we will do it very, very well, and that hopefully some of the incredible polyglot, messy, kind of tar-stained charm of this city will come through.
It is exactly that kind of grassroots vibrancy that is being squeezed out by this kind of, or there's an attempt, I should say, to squeeze it out, because I think it's extremely resilient. And what I'm trying to do is take the side of that against this kind of very much Boris Johnson's agenda of kind of, chortling at the people who have criticisms of, the moaning minis, the gloomsters, all this kind of nonsense. There are really serious problems facing the city, and they're being done to us by the people in power.
The people in power weren't listening to youngsters involved in last summer's disturbances, says China Mieville.
I think the riots were a big wake-up call for a lot of people. I think they were very important.
But some would see that as young people helping themselves to TVs and trainers. That seemed to be a lot of what it was about.
Anyone who is going to traduce, the really serious attempt to kind of deal with social issues in these areas by simply pointing out to the obvious acts of theft and so on, which happen in any kind of situation like that, and suggest that, in Theresa May's term, this is sheer criminality, there's nothing else, there's no structural questions to be asked. This is willful stupidity as far as I'm concerned.
What do you make about that, Robert? Well, the root causes of the riots and what they showed us.
I think they're incredibly complex, but I think to put it in a historical context, the London mob, this kind of golem that can arise from the streets of London historically, has always done this. You kind of painted this city that had somehow been neutered and spoiled, and actually, I'm not saying I'm in favour of the riots, because I'm not. I'm a nice bourgeois middle class bloke now with lots to lose, and I've got kids who I don't really want to see getting dragged into that sort of stuff. But I can still realise that they are a sign of London's vivacity and its virility, if you like.
How will we look back on this year, an important year for the country, for the city?
I think London will put on a fantastic party, because it's one of the things we do really well. And I can absolutely predict with a surety that this magnificent, dirty, noisy, smelly old city will continue to be the greatest in the world.
We're going to have to come back in 10 years and see the state of East London. And if in 10 years' time, if in 15 years' time, we don't just have a dead graveyard of ridiculous, giant, mouldering buildings, if we have an infrastructure that is helping local people, then I will be happy to say I was wrong.
Very odd route that bus takes.